Book Summary of The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. What's in it for me? A Quest for Redemption in Kabul. The Kite Runner was one of the literary sensations of the 2000s. It sold millions of copies worldwide, inspired a film adaptation, and became a book club favorite. So, what made this novel so popular? In part, perhaps because it was something of a novelty, when it was first published in the US in 2003. Here was mainstream fiction set in Kabul, about Afghan characters, and written by an Afghan-American author. For many readers in the West, The Kite Runner was a window into a country and a culture that had previously seemed so remote. It offered a fresh perspective and new insight. 20 years later, Hosseini's novel is still widely read and loved. And there's more to its appeal than the Afghanistan connection. The themes of The Kite Runner are universal. It's a book that explores childhood friendships, father-son relationships, and the sometimes painful process of growing up. Hosseini also looks at some of life's big questions. Do our pasts define us? Is true change possible? And what about redemption? Perhaps the real reason for The Kite Runner's success is the way in which it explores these ideas, through a gripping, deeply moving story about characters we can all relate to. Next, we'll travel to Kabul and meet those characters. By the way, if you want to listen to a very short summary of the novel, you can skip ahead to the final section. Betrayal. The Kite Runner begins with the narrator, Amir, looking back on his childhood in Afghanistan. In 1975, Amir is 12 years old. He lives a comfortable life in Kabul with his father, Baba. Their relationship isn't always an easy one, and Amir longs for his father's approval. Amir and Baba are a family of two. Amir's mother died during childbirth. However, they also have a close relationship with Ali and Hassan, the father and son who live in the house at the end of the garden. Hassan is Amir's best friend. However, both boys are aware that their social status is not the same. Hassan is the son of Amir's father's servant. They also have different ethnicities. Amir is Pashtun, the majority ethnic group in Afghanistan. Hassan is Hazara, an ethnicity that often faces discrimination. Despite these differences, the boys are very close. They spend a lot of time together, often flying kites and taking part in tournaments. Hassan is the kite runner, the one who runs after fallen kites. Hassan is a loyal, devoted friend. He tells Amir he would do anything for him. But one day, Amir's loyalty is tested, and what happens next changes everything. There's a kite fighting competition, and Amir and Hassan are keen to win. Amir sees it as a chance to impress his father, and finally gain his approval. That day, Hassan disappears while running for a kite. Amir goes to look for him, and stumbles across a shocking scene. He sees Hassan being raped in an alley by an older boy, Asef. Instead of intervening, Amir runs away. After this incident, Amir feels uncomfortable around Hassan, and their friendship starts to deteriorate. In an attempt to make him leave, Amir plants money under Hassan's mattress. Hassan lies to protect Amir, and says that he stole the money. His father, Ali, tells Amir's father, Baba, that he can no longer work for him, or stay in the neighborhood. Baba is devastated and begs them to reconsider, but Ali and Hassan leave shortly afterwards. The two families are divided, seemingly forever. Analysis. The friendship between Amir and Hassan is ended by acts of betrayal. Amir not only fails to intervene when he witnesses the rape, but he adds to Hassan's suffering by shunning him afterwards. Then, to make matters worse, he plants the money under Hassan's mattress, making him look like a thief. And it's all because Amir is unable to cope with his own cowardice and guilt. Amir's behavior is hard to understand, even if we make allowances for his young age. It's disturbing to see him treat his friend in this way, when Hassan has been consistently kind and loyal. Amir and Hassan could be interpreted as two sides of the same person, the good and bad we all have inside us. Hassan is so good that he's almost saint-like. He doesn't retaliate, and he won't even defend himself if it means hurting someone he cares about. He takes the blame for the money under the mattress, so Amir doesn't get in trouble. Amir, on the other hand, is shown as being weak, cowardly and self-centered, qualities he's aware of. Perhaps this is another reason why Amir is uncomfortable around his friend. Hassan's goodness makes Amir feel worse about his own character. This is a theme that recurs throughout the Kite Runner, Amir's sense of shame, guilt, and inadequacy. For now though, despite his inner turmoil, it seems that he's achieved what he wanted. Hassan is out of his life. He's no longer faced with daily reminders of his guilt. But as we'll soon see, it's not quite that simple. The past has a way of catching up with people. I became what I am today at the age of 12, on a frigid overcast day in the winter of 1975. I remember the precise moment, crouching behind a crumbling mud wall, peeking into the alley near the frozen creek. Revelations. A few years later, the Soviet-Afghan war begins, and Amir and Baba decide to flee Kabul. Eventually, they manage to get to the US, and start a new life in California. In the following years, Amir meets and marries Soraya, a fellow Afghan refugee, and has a successful writing career. There are struggles too, such as Baba's death from cancer, and Amir and Soraya's sadness at being unable to conceive. Amir wonders if he's being denied fatherhood as a punishment. Even now, in his late 30s, he still feels guilty about Hassan. One day, Amir discovers that an old family friend, now living in Pakistan, is seriously ill. He goes to visit him. The friend, Rahim Khan, tells Amir the story of what happened to Hassan. Hassan got married and had a son. But he and his wife were murdered by the Taliban, leaving their young son an orphan. Rahim Khan wants Amir to go to the orphanage in Kabul and rescue Hassan's son. Then, Rahim Khan reveals a shocking family secret. Hassan's biological father was Baba, Amir's father. Which means that Amir and Hassan were half-brothers. This revelation also suggests that Baba was not the man of integrity that Amir believed him to be. Baba betrayed his friend Ali by sleeping with his wife. Amir is distressed by everything that Rahim Khan has told him, but the old man insists. Amir must go to Kabul and rescue Hassan's son. It's Rahim Khan's dying wish. And it's Amir's chance to redeem himself. Analysis. There's a way to be good again, says Rahim Khan. For the first time since that fateful day in 1975, Amir is faced with a huge moral dilemma. When he was 12 years old, he chose to run away. What will he choose to do this time? Although Amir is reluctant to go to Kabul, he realizes that this is an opportunity for change. By helping Hassan's son, maybe Amir can finally make amends, and become the person he wants to be. The conversation with Rahim Khan also develops another key theme in the novel, secrecy. Rahim Khan reveals the family secret about Baba being Hassan's biological father. In addition, he hints that he knows Amir's childhood secret. He knows how Amir treated Hassan, and why. In the Kite Runner, revealing or acknowledging secrets offers an opportunity for knowledge and transformation. Amir is learning who his father was, who he himself is, and most importantly, who he can become. Before we move on, let's take a moment to reflect on the theme of fathers and sons. Amir discovers the truth about Baba, that he was not as virtuous as he appeared to be. So in a sense, Amir didn't really know him. Yet ironically, Amir also realizes that he and his father have something in common, they both betrayed their friends. Amir's changing attitude to his father is one that many of us can relate to. It's only through age and experience that we can begin to see our parents as the flawed, complex human beings they really are. Maybe this is the moment when we start to truly become grown-ups ourselves. Although he's nearly 40, Amir is still growing up and finding himself. And now, he has an opportunity not just to be good, but also to take on a role of parental responsibility for the first time. As we'll soon see, the mission to find and rescue Hassan's son is even more complicated than it sounds. We had both betrayed the people who would have given their lives for us. And with that came this realization, that Rahim Khan had summoned me here to atone not just for my sins but for Baba's too. Rescue. Amir knows that he has to go to Kabul. He owes it to Hassan, the friend and half-brother he betrayed. So Amir travels to Afghanistan. It's his first visit in 20 years, and he's horrified by the changes under Taliban rule, from the signs of poverty to the public stonings. This is not the city he remembers. He goes to the orphanage in search of Hassan's son, Sohrab. But he's no longer there. Apparently, Sohrab was taken from the orphanage by the Taliban. Risking his own safety, Amir goes to the house of the local Taliban leader. In an unexpected twist, the leader is revealed to be Asef, the man who assaulted Hassan years ago. Amir is disturbed to realize that Asef is also abusing Sohrab. He's keeping him captive as a dancing boy, essentially a child prostitute. Amir tries to negotiate with Asef to free Sohrab. But this results in a violent physical confrontation. Seeing that Asef is beating Amir to death, Sohrab intervenes, begging him to stop. When the assault continues, Sohrab uses his slingshot, wounding Asef in the eye. Amir and Sohab then flee the house. Seriously injured, Amir spends days recuperating in the hospital. During this time, he realizes that his original plan for Sohrab isn't going to work. He'd planned to take him to a charity, recommended by Rahim Khan. But it turns out the charity doesn't exist. Amir talks to Sohrab, and reveals that they're related. He also asks him to come to live with him in the US. Although he's apprehensive, Sohrab accepts. So, it's decided. It won't be easy, but Amir will find a way to adopt Sohrab, and give him the life he deserves. Analysis. This was what Rahim Khan planned all along, what he meant when he told Amir that there was a way to be good again. He wanted Amir to adopt Sohrab himself. Although Amir can't undo what he did to Hassan, he can choose to act differently now. However, seeking redemption requires personal sacrifice and bravery. Amir realizes that by getting involved in Sohrab's life, he's disrupting his own. His simple existence back in the US will never be quite the same again. Of course, this is the price of parenthood. Amir is essentially preparing to become an adoptive father, which means he can no longer put himself first. We also have to admire his courage in rescuing Sohrab, risking his life in the process. When Amir was young, he ran away from danger. Now, as an adult, he charges right into it. Something else worth noting is that in this section of the novel, there are some striking examples of mirroring. The most obvious, perhaps, is Amir's reaction to Asef. When they meet as adults, Amir does what he should have done years ago. This time, he confronts Asef. And Asef is not just a character. He's also a symbol of Amir's fears and past failings. The confrontation scene is a triumphant moment, as Amir demonstrates his newfound strength and courage. It's evidence that change is possible. Finally, here's another memorable example of mirroring and symbolism. As a child, Hassan had a cleft lip. And during the fight with Asef, Amir's upper lip is split in two. This physical similarity is a symbol of their connection. Despite Hassan's death, he and Amir remain bonded. Their family, now more than ever. And that, I believe, is what true redemption is, Amir Jan, when guilt leads to good. Redemption. As Amir looks into the adoption process, he realizes it's even more complicated than he expected. It seems like the best option might be to leave Sohrab in an orphanage for the time being. Amir would then return to the US alone and begin the adoption process from there. When Amir mentions this possibility to Sohrab, the boy is distraught. The idea of going back to the orphanage terrifies him. That night, Sohrab makes a suicide attempt. Amir finds him in time and calls an ambulance, but it's an incredibly harrowing experience for both of them. Once Sohrab has recovered, Amir manages to take him to the US. A humanitarian visa allows Sohrab to live with Amir and his wife Soraya while they file the adoption petition. The following months aren't easy for the family. Sohrab is traumatized and silent, sleeping most of the time. But one day in the spring of 2002, several months after Sohrab's arrival in the US, there's a breakthrough. Amir describes it as a small, wondrous thing. In the park, Amir and Sohrab fly a kite together for the first time. It's a bonding opportunity, as Amir tells his nephew about his childhood and how he used to fly kites with Hassan. The novel ends with a joyful, hopeful image, Sohrab smiling at last, and Amir running after a fallen kite, just like Hassan once ran for him. Analysis. In the final section of the Kite Runner, Amir takes responsibility, and is immediately put to the test. But eventually, thanks to Amir's patience and perseverance, there's a sign that Sohrab is starting to heal. Most impressive, however, is Amir's own transformation. By the end, he's grown up and become good at last, just as Rahim Khan predicted. The novel ends with yet another example of mirroring, Amir flying a kite with Sohrab, just like he used to do with Hassan when they were children. When Amir runs for the fallen kite, he experiences a cathartic moment. He grins as he sprints through the park, and in his own words, he's a grown man running with a swarm of screaming children. Ironically, Amir rediscovers this sense of childlike joy only after he's finally grown up. By becoming a responsible adult, he also reconnects with his inner child, and experiences a feeling of true happiness at last. It's telling that after so many dark moments, Hosseini chooses to end the novel with such a positive, hopeful scene. He's underlining the key ideas of the Kite Runner, the importance of family, and the possibility of redemption. Hosseini also seems to be saying that although we can't, and shouldn't, forget the past, we don't have to be defined by it either. It's never too late to change. Like Amir, we can take action, take responsibility, and become the people we want to be. Closing Sohrab's door, I wondered if that was how forgiveness budded, not with the fanfare of epiphany, but with pain gathering its things, packing up, and slipping away unannounced in the middle of the night. Final summary. The story begins in Kabul, Afghanistan, when the narrator is 12 years old. Amir and his loyal best friend, Hassan, often fly kites and take part in tournaments. During a tournament, Amir witnesses Hassan being sexually assaulted. But instead of intervening, Amir runs away. Afterwards, the close bond between their two families disintegrates. Amir later moves to the US and starts a new life. However, he still feels guilty about how he treated Hassan. Years later, Amir learns that Hassan has died, leaving his son an orphan. Amir also discovers a family secret. His father was the biological father of Hassan, making Amir and Hassan half-brothers. Amir sees a way to make amends. He travels to Kabul, where he discovers that Hassan's young son, Sohrab, is being abused by a Taliban leader. Coincidentally, it's the same man who assaulted Hassan all those years ago. Amir rescues Sohrab, takes him back to the US, and adopts him. The Kite Runner ends with Amir and Sohrab taking part in a kite fight. In a symbolic role reversal, Amir runs to collect a rival's fallen kite, just like Hassan used to run for him. Amir has redeemed himself at last.